Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack complex ideas and hopefully give you that edge that comes from being really well informed. Today, we're diving into how top performers, especially in really complex fields, turn, well, raw data into a real measurable advantage. The tool we're looking at, it's called a trading journal. Sounds simple, maybe even a bit basic.
Yeah, but it's really far from just, bookkeeping. It's actually more like a performance engine. It actively refines your strategy, your psychology, with every single entry. It turns that subjective feeling into objective improvement.
And the sources we looked at, they really back this up, don't they?
Absolutely. What's fascinating is you see these legendary figures, people like Paul Tudor Jones, Mark Minervini, very different styles, right? But they both hammer home the need for rigorous, data-driven self-review. And then you have Dr. Brett Steenbarger's work, which gives us that crucial psychological angle to why it works.
Okay, so our mission for you listening is to really get how you can use this seemingly simple tool, to shift from guesswork to, well, a science of self-improvement, to gain a serious edge in whatever you're pursuing. But first, let's talk about the sort of philosophical bedrock here. Why do these elite traders obsess over every single trade detail?
Well, for professionals, it's not just a good idea. The journal, it enforces what you might call operational directive.
Discipline, risk management.
Exactly. Discipline, risk management, it's the antidote to faulty memory, and emotional bias, which, let's face it, can be incredibly costly in high-stakes games.
So give us an example, like Paul Tudor Jones.
Right. For Jones, it's all about defense and capital preservation. His journal enforces strict rules. Think about his 1% rule for losses, never risking more than 1% of total capital on one trade, or the 5.1 risk-reward mandate. He needs the potential upside to be at least 5 times the downside before even considering it. It basically forces this data-driven humility. Stops you getting cocky, protects your capital.
That's serious discipline. How does someone like Mark Minervini compare? Known for, well, different kinds of strategies. Did he use it the same way?
Yeah, absolutely, but maybe with a slightly different focus. Minervini explicitly said he used his journal to get scientific with what was working and what wasn't. That's how he forged his CEPI methodology. It was all about identifying specific patterns, optimal conditions.
And wasn't there something about execution?
Yes. His big thing was perfectly executing your plan. He'd give himself an execution grade in the journal. And get this, that grade was actually more important to him than whether the trade made or lost money.
Really? More important than profit?
Yeah, because he knew if he nailed the execution consistently, the positive results would naturally follow. It's about the process over the single outcome.
Okay, so if you're going to do this properly, what actually goes in the journal? What's the anatomy?
Generally, you can think of it in 3 layers, all connected. First, the quantitative, that's your hard data.
Entry points, exit points, size.
It's exactly entry, exit, position size, P&L. Then there's the qualitative, the human element.
Like mindset, emotions.
Precisely. Pre-trade mindset, emotions during the trade, rationale. And third, the visual annotated screenshots.
Screenshots.
Yeah, marking up charts, showing the setup, the trigger, maybe where things went right or wrong visually.
Okay, let's pull out some key bits. For quantitative, you mentioned the final R multiple. Why is that considered the ultimate measure?
The R multiple. It's basically your profit or loss expressed as a multiple of your initial risk. So a 3R win means you made 3 times what you risked. It standardizes performance. Doesn't matter if you risked $100 or $10,000, a 3R trade is a 3R trade. It shows risk management effectiveness.
Got it. And qualitative. You mentioned mindset, emotions. How does tracking that help? Seems a bit fuzzy.
Might seem fuzzy, but it's critical. Like Dr. Steenbarger points out, tracking your pre-trade mindset or in-trade emotions helps you spot behavioral patterns. Are you always anxious on Tuesdays? Do you get overconfident after 3 wins? It reveals the why behind your results, not just the what.
Okay, so you've gathered all this data, quantitative, qualitative, visual. Now the magic part, turning it into an actual edge. How did that happen?
Right. The analysis.
Yeah.
It's way beyond just looking at one trade at a time. You need statistical understanding. This is where key performance indicators, KPIs, come in. And the big one, the holy grail metric, according to our sources, is expectancy.
Expectancy. Sounds important. What is it, basically?
Basically, it's the average amount you expect to win or lose per trade over many trades. You calculate it using your win rate and your average win-loss size. It tells you if your overall strategy has a positive edge, like a casino knows its edge in blackjack. It's your statistical advantage or lack thereof.
Okay, but the real power comes from slicing that data up, right?
Exactly. Segmentation is key. You don't just want your overall expectancy. You want to ask, What's my expectancy for setup A versus setup B?
Or maybe, how do I perform in volatile markets versus quiet ones?
Precisely. Or what's my expectancy when I trade large caps versus small caps?
Hmm.
This detail shows you where your real edge lies.
And what about connecting it back to those qualitative tags, the emotions?
Absolutely crucial. You start correlating those psychological tags. Maybe you tag trades with hashtag FOMO when you chased,
Yeah.
or hashtag revenge trading after a loss. Then you run the numbers. What's your expectancy on hashtag FOMO trades? Usually negative, right?
Yeah.
This quantifies the exact cost of those behaviors.
Ouch. That could be revealing.
It is. But it's not just about finding flaws. It's also about finding solution patterns. What does your data and your commentary say when you are trading at your absolute best? What's your mindset? What setups are you taking? You codify that success to replicate it.
So pulling it all together, this whole process, analyzing the numbers, the psychology, it leads you to build your own personal trading playbook.
That's the goal. Not some generic guide, but your specific manual for high expectancy plays. The right setup, the right market context, and crucially, the right you executing it.
It sounds like a continuous refinement loop.
It is. The sources frame the whole journaling process as deliberate practice. It's that constant cycle. Prepare, evaluate, perform, review.
Yeah.
And that feedback loop is what genuinely shortens the learning curve, especially in something as complex as financial markets.
So the takeaway seems clear. While you can't predict the market, you can control and refine your process. Your journal, done right, becomes this incredible tool for being your own coach, moving you from just being a participant towards maybe becoming a market master. So the question for you to think about is, what's the very first piece of data you'll start tracking to forge your own edge?